Why did Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom break up after 9 years? Katy has not been the same person for over a year now, and Orlando has had enough. Perry in particular became the internet's punching bag for it, obviously, as we all saw. He told her the whole thing looked ridiculous.
Katy Perry is in total meltdown mode after Orlando Bloom completely dismantled her latest stunts. Orlando didn't just call her out, he obliterated her. And if you think this is some petty celebrity spat, think again. This is the same brand of chaos that wrecked Jack Human's marriage. It all started with that infamous 11-minute space trip and only got worse after her flop album 143. Despite Orlando's repeated warnings, she charged ahead, and now she's facing the fallout. But let's be clear, this is Katy's mess, not his.
Imagine going to space, mother effing space, and your partner isn't impressed. She hoped he'd be more supportive.
Katy Perry is unraveling after her nearly decade-long love story with Orlando Bloom spectacularly imploded. This wasn't just a breakup, it was the collapse of everything they'd built together. From their dreamy start in 2016 to welcoming their daughter in 2020, their relationship looked like a Hollywood fairy tale. But behind the glamorous facade, the cracks were already spreading.
Saying that Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom have split up. Now, it's certainly not a surprise in one sense. We've been hearing rumblings now for a long while.
Their love story began with fireworks, literally. Katy and Orlando first connected at a Golden Globes after party, where their chemistry was undeniable. They quickly became inseparable, charming everyone with their playful, flirty dynamic. By 2019, Orlando proposed on Valentine's Day with a dazzling flower-shaped ring, cementing their status as one of Hollywood's most beloved couples.
Perry and Bloom met in 2016, brief breakup in 2017, reconciled by 2018, got engaged in 2019, welcomed their daughter in 2020.
In 2020, everything changed with the birth of their daughter, Daisy Dove. For Katy, motherhood was transformative, and she often spoke about how Daisy gave her life a deeper sense of purpose. Orlando, the ever-proud dad, embraced family life wholeheartedly. For a while, they seemed to have it all, a perfect blend of domestic bliss and Hollywood glamour.
What you're doing is you're like really finding the love for yourself because you gotta trust in yourself.
But even fairy tales have a dark side. As their careers demanded more of them, the cracks began to widen. While Katy grappled with the relentless pressures of the music industry, Orlando was off filming and chasing daring new projects. The balance that once kept them steady slowly began to slip away.
He wants her to be happy and he wants her to be authentic. He just wants her to stop and enjoy the life that she has built.
Beneath the glitz and glamour, the cracks were impossible to ignore. Orlando's laid-back, grounded nature increasingly clashed with Katy's larger-than-life ambitions. While their public appearances painted a picture of effortless perfection, insiders reveal that behind closed doors, tensions were simmering. Unmet expectations and clashing priorities quietly eroded the bond they had built.
What I'm curious about in this video is what actually happened between Katy and Orlando.
Then came the bombshell. In June 2025, they officially ended their relationship. Fans were stunned, but those close to the couple knew it had been coming for months. What began as the ultimate engagement goals unraveled into a cautionary tale of fame-fueled pressures and private frustrations. The truth is tangled in the chaos. Their breakup isn't just another celebrity scandal, it's a stark reminder of how fragile love becomes under the relentless spotlight. Katy and Orlando's story may be over, but the world's fascination with their downfall is only intensifying.
It imploded after singer made embarrassing journey into space. The couple's now sparring over who will attend the wedding of Jeff and Lauren. They were already on the rocks when Perry made the widely derided 11-minute space trip, which became a PR disaster.
One of the biggest catalysts behind their split was Katy's infamous space trip. What she hoped would be a bold, culture-defining moment became a PR disaster. In 2024, she boarded a spacecraft for an 11-minute journey meant to cement her reputation as a trailblazer. Instead, the stunt sparked a tidal wave of ridicule. Memes flooded every corner of the internet. Headlines skewered her decision. Fans called it tone-deaf and absurd.
Well, new reports are alleging it's because Orlando kept warning her about her cringeworthy space flights and desperate attempts at promoting her new album.
But the most crushing blow came from Orlando himself. During a heated argument, he reportedly called the space trip embarrassing, cringeworthy, and ridiculous. Those words hit Katy like a ton of bricks. She had hoped the grand gesture would reignite their connection. Instead, it pushed them even further apart. Insiders say she was devastated. All she wanted was his support, but all she received was stinging criticism.
The highest high, and it is surrender to the unknown, trust, and this whole journey is not just about going to space. It's the training, it's the team, it's the whole thing. I couldn't recommend this experience.
The space trip quickly became the ultimate symbol of their unraveling. For Orlando, it captured everything that was going wrong. For Katy, it was a painful reminder that even her boldest gestures couldn't close the widening gap between them. As the public ridicule mounted, her emotional vulnerability was impossible to hide. She'd gambled everything on that stunt, and lost. Not just in the court of public opinion, but in her personal life too.
Constantly trying to warn her. And not only that about her bad moves, but also how she was using him, Orlando, to try to make this album a hit, which it never was.
And then came 143, the album meant to mark Katy Perry's triumphant comeback. Instead, it became the embodiment of her struggles. This was supposed to be her return to pop royalty, but instead of topping charts, it shattered her confidence. Critics were merciless, calling the record uninspired, forgettable, and unworthy of a star of her caliber. Fans weren't much kinder, with many saying it lacked the spark that once made her a powerhouse.
He advised her against this album. She did it. Now, again, this album had a lot of problems, specifically the Dr. Luke of it all, the producer who was having so much accusations himself and with Kesha and everything else, and which Kesha says Katy knew, and then Katy basically was like, I don't care, I'm working with Dr. Luke again.
Pouring gasoline on the fire was Katy's decision to collaborate with Dr. Luke, the controversial producer whose past scandals had already divided the industry. To many longtime supporters, this partnership felt like a betrayal. It reignited fierce debates over ethics and accountability in pop music. The backlash was instant and fierce. Fans didn't just ignore her album, they openly criticized her for turning a blind eye to everything they thought she stood for.
Apparently, she received little to no support from Bloom, who blasted the embarrassing debacle during Explosive Row.
Orlando, who had once been her biggest champion, reportedly saw this disaster coming long before anyone else. Insiders say he warned her over and over, urging her to reconsider the project. But Katy, ever the risk-taker, refused to back down. She doubled down, pouring her heart into 143, determined to prove the skeptics wrong. Instead, it flopped, and Orlando's frustration finally boiled over.
His camp told a Daily Mail. He said it was cringeworthy, embarrassing. This was in the middle of a fight.
This wasn't just another bad album review. For Katy, 143 was her declaration that she still had it. Watching it crash and burn wasn't just a career setback, it felt like a direct hit to her identity as an artist. Insiders described her as heartbroken, grappling with the chasm between her creative vision and the harsh reality.
Now, notice, I've never, in 9 years, I hadn't seen them together until she needed to launch this new album. I never really saw them, and instead, she was out there promoting the couple as much as the album. It was pretty awful.
But Katy wasn't ready to throw in the towel just yet. If the music wasn't speaking for itself, she'd find another way to stay in the spotlight. Enter the Publicity Stunts, a string of cringeworthy moments that left fans baffled in Orlando, reportedly rolling his eyes.
Noah's had enough, says a second source, saying that Bloom is annoyed that Perry was never listening to his advice. And then she started posting the rare Instagram of her shirtless fiance, right as her first single, Woman's World, one of the worst songs I've heard ever. Such a hypocritical, dumb song.
First came the infamous treadmill clip. You probably remember it, Katy and Orlando jogging side by side, Orlando casually peeling off his shirt while Katy flashed a camera-ready grin. It was meant to be playful and sexy, but it landed as forced and awkward. Fans were quick to call it out. This wasn't the Katy they loved. It felt like someone desperately trying to reclaim attention.
She hoped he'd be more supportive. So that's why she did it? She went to space to try to get Orlando more interested in her again?
And then there were the raunchy interviews. Katy started making headlines with her over-the-top confessions about their private life. One particular quote about her love language went viral, and not in a good way. Instead of building anticipation for her music, it left fans cringing, like she was oversharing just to stay relevant.
Yikes, the desperation is real, I guess. She needed more attention, so she decided to post her husband working out privately on Instagram. This feels very like Jada Pinkett Smith to me. Like, hey, honey.
Maybe the hardest part to watch was how their relationship turned into a marketing prop. From red carpet PDA to carefully curated Instagram moments, it started to look like Orlando was just another piece of her promotional puzzle. For someone as notoriously private as him, this was reportedly a breaking point. Insiders claim he felt exploited, dragged into the spotlight for reasons that had nothing to do with love.
The internet and fans, it was just a dumb choice to go back to Dr. Luke.
Fans couldn't help but feel conflicted. On one hand, they wanted to support Katy, a pop icon who had given them anthems like Firework and Roar. But on the other, it was impossible to ignore the growing sense of desperation in her actions. These viral stunts weren't bringing Katy closer to her audience. They were alienating her from the very people who had championed her career for over a decade.
One more quote I'm looking to. Katy has not been the same person for over a year now, and Orlando has had enough.
And for Orlando, these antics were reportedly the final straw. He had stood by Katy through countless ups and downs, but the relentless use of their relationship as a PR tool only deepened the cracks. Sources say he grew increasingly distant, frustrated by what he saw as a lack of authenticity.
Never really seen them together. And then as she's promoting this album, he was everywhere. She was using him, bringing out Orlando Bloom, Legolas himself, and Jack Turner, Pirate of the Caribbean, to use this. Katy is seeing that she may not be able to recover from all this, and she's blaming everyone but herself.
It's one thing to have a rough patch in your career. It's another to let that struggle bleed into every corner of your personal life. For Katy, the lines blurred beyond recognition, and the fallout was messy on every level. 143 wasn't just a commercial flop. It became the catalyst for a chain reaction that left both Katy and Orlando questioning everything about their lives together.